Greetings, my fellow nerds. I'm Chris, and this is Dees Nerds. So I wanted to kind of step back in time a little bit with you guys because here a couple of weeks ago, my parents actually, they brought over a bunch of my old stuff from whenever I was a kid from their house. They brought it over here for me to kind of go through and figure out what I wanted to keep and what I wanted to throw out. And it felt like I did a lot of throwing out, but I mean, there was a lot of great memories kind of going through all that stuff. Different things like old papers, old projects that I'd done, from school and various things, like old clothes that I had. Like, I was like, why did we keep this stuff, kind of a thing. It definitely did not fit anymore. But as well, like old magazines, different things like that, which was actually really cool to kind of go through as well. But one thing that they definitely had as well were a bunch of my old VHSs. And so I really wanted to kind of go through these and just kind of do a little show and tell with you guys, because these movies here, this is where it started for me. This is where the flame was lit for me, just becoming an absolute lover of movies and cinema. And the interesting thing that I saw kind of going through these is that there's not a whole lot of, man, I can't believe I was into that kind of a thing. Something that I've pretty much stayed into my whole life. So it's kind of interesting to kind of go back through and go, okay, I feel pretty good about my tastes back then, even as a little kid. So I'm just kind of excited to kind of go through these and show you, and hopefully you guys enjoy that. Now, I will be very clear here. I'm keeping these, but it's more for like a display kind of a purpose. I have no desire to go back and watch these because, quite frankly, everything I have in here, with the exception of one, which we'll talk about, every single one of these I have on Blu-ray or 4K UHD. And I'm sorry, I know there's a certain group of people that really love to go back and watch old VHSs and really, like, that's just like a nostalgia format for them. And you know what? If you want to do that, go for it. All more power to you. But for me, it's definitely about stepping up in resolution, stepping up in quality of audio, video, everything there. So I have no desire. I probably never will watch these again. But as far as like displaying the box art, displaying the item itself, that'll definitely be something I think we'll be doing. So, but it's very interesting to kind of go through these. So I'm going to go from like biggest deal to not as big of a deal. So because I feel like let's just front load it, because that's just more fun to do that. So let's start with Batman, because if you're any fan of this channel at all, if you've watched anything on this channel, you know that I am a huge Batman fan. And particularly, Batman 1989, I always say, is like one of the films that defined my childhood, and I still stand by that. So it makes perfect sense to look at Batman 1989 on VHS right there. Now, your first thing you're going to say is, man, that box is in terrible shape. And yeah, it is. It very much is. This VHS probably got played more than anything else that's sitting here in this pile. I mean, I poured over this box. I mean, just looking at the back of it, reading, the credits and everything, like, I poured over this thing. I think I even played with this thing quite a bit. I mean, just this box, it just brings back, like, the memories and everything there. And this is where it started. It's where my love affair for this artwork started. I have the poster right up here of that artwork. Like, that's what I sought out for this film. And there are other really cool posters that came out from that film. But, this is the iconic image. It's the thing that I really wish that, more video home releases of this used this specific art. And you know what? You don't have to have that it's Batman. You just need this. That's all you need. Very simple. I love simple imagery like that, where you don't have to explain it too much. You just throw the thing up there and everybody knows what it is. Like, for instance, I'm wearing this Razorback shirt. Like, I love shirts like this. Of course, I'm a big Arkansas Razorbacks fan. But I love the idea of just throwing the logo on the shirt right in the middle. Bam. Bold. There it is. That's what I really love about in fashion and everything else. When you have the iconography that you can do that, use it to your advantage. You don't have to try that hard at it. So that's what I really love about this VHS cover and about the poster in general. And the poster I have, it's the one that has, it's this, then right here it just says June 23rd. That's all you need, right? But yeah, I mean, that's definitely a big one. And of course, we'll move on to this. Why not go with the sequel, Batman Returns? Now this one, as you can tell, it doesn't have a side or a top. And these are still dusty. I haven't cleaned them up or anything at all, so my apologies. But this is actually a rental version. So you can actually see it was Vision Video in Harrison, Arkansas. I mean, it's like you can see like the chrome thing right there. But you know, like this was another big one that was heavily watched in my house growing up. So I just these two movies I know like the back of my hand. And like I said, I mean, you can tell again, like I really got after the things I loved. I mean, they were very well used. Let's just put it that way. I tend to take better care of things now, but I was pretty rough on stuff as a kid. I can see that like in a lot of the toys I have, and like a lot of stuff just broken. But yeah, they were definitely well played, and I had a lot of fun with it. So then we move on to 1995's Batman Forever, and if, you know, the thing I'm noticing here is that the box is just in a lot better shape. I don't think I used this. I played this one nearly as much. It definitely got played because it's just one of those that like I knew like the back of my hand. But you know, of course this came out in 95, so I would have gotten it probably 95, 96 ish. And of course I'm getting older. I was like 9 or 10 by that point. So look, like, I'm going to start taking better care of stuff by this point. So obviously you start to see that like things aren't quite so roughed up. But yeah, I mean, that was a great one. Really love that one. Kind of surprised. Like I said, that actually is not in bad shape at all. Kind of surprised. But and so I didn't get Batman and Robin on on VHS by that point, and honestly, I didn't own it on DVD until I was probably going on into late in high school, like early college kind of time. So I never really got Batman and Robin, but definitely the first three I had. I mean, that was the really big point of VHS during that time. That was like the high point. So, but I do have another Batman thing here as well. But it is, of course, with Batman the animated series. It is they did the Riddler set here, which, I mean, it's two episodes. It's Riddler's Reform and If You're So Smart, Why Aren't You Rich? But they did like these character-based VHS releases. So like they did one for like Two-Face and the Joker and Mr. Freeze and Robin, and they did other ones, but I think this is the only one I had. But I'm still wondering because I remember very vividly. I can't remember whether I taped it or whether it was something that came out, like it was a release it was on, but I very vividly remember the episode Almost Got Him. So I'm not quite sure, because it wasn't in any of the box with any of the other VHSs and none of these, so I'm not sure, but I'll have to do some more digging in on it. But, I mean, like I said, that Batman was a huge part of my childhood and has continued on into adulthood, and that's the beginning right there. Also in those boxes were things from the Family Channel, and I've told this story before, but what really got me into Batman, like that was like the priming the pump before like Batman 1989 just grabbed me and wouldn't let go, was the 66 cartoon that my dad had taped off of the Family Channel, which of course throughout the years has been like ABC Family and Freeform, like all that stuff. But back in the 80s, it was the Family Channel. And so he taped a whole bunch of those episodes. So that was where I got my start. And just I watched those so many times. But of course, those weren't like the official releases. That was, because back then you taped things off TV. And I know that like some people that are younger than me are like, what the heck are you talking about? But yes. Yeah, a show like say like a new episode of your favorite show is coming out at 8 o'clock on a Wednesday night. It's like you had to set the recorder on the VHS to record at 8 o'clock and make sure that, like a football game didn't run long or something like that. It was definitely the before time, but it was really cool. So now let's switch. Let's switch to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, because again, we got those dual things. Like, that's pretty much my childhood. Batman and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. There was other stuff, but those are the two big figureheads. So let's start with the cartoon. So as of right now, like, I have the Party Van DVD set that has all the episodes. But these VHSs here were definitely like a huge, like, this is where I really start, of course, watching it on Saturday mornings as well, but like these are the ones that I remember most. And as I was watching the DVD set, these episodes were like, oh, I remember this one like really well because I watched it over and over again on VHS. But the first one, let's just kind of talk about the one, like, there's 4 here that are kind of together. We'll talk about those kind of as a whole. But this one here was just it had 2 episodes on it. Of course, it was Case of the Killer Pizzas, one of my favorite episodes. Very great episode. And then it also had a second one called Enter the Fly. But man, I remember these covers, like the covers for, and they had different ones, but like I remember this one specifically, and of course the Killer Pizza monster, which of course looked, now that I think about it, looked an awful lot like Alien, like a xenomorph. Kind of crazy. Maybe there's something to that, but yeah, these just got watched a heck of a lot. These 2 episodes, but now we're gonna move to these. These are the ones that I'm kind of like, oh, cool. Like, I collected something, like something came out and I collected all of it, and I don't even know like how many of these were made or whatever. But Burger King, I don't know if it even exists anymore, but Burger King in the late '80s, I think, was really trying to compete in a very similar way with McDonald's, because I feel like McDonald's kind of has a monopoly on the kids fast food market, and but I think Burger King was trying, and they did a thing called the Burger King Kids Club, and I had a bunch of stuff from that end of it. But through the Burger King Kids Club, they released these VHSs, these 4 VHSs of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and they were, I believe, they were just, yeah, they were just, it was an episode apiece, which is interesting. So they, let's see here, I don't know if they were, I don't think they go 1, 2, 3, or 4. I think they're just, one. They're just 4 of them. But they were all like pretty much the same type of cover, but they were just different colors for the different episodes. So like, here's the first one. Well, the first one I'm going to show you anyway. The pink, it's pink. And this was for April Foolish. And like you see, like, I'll kind of do a little show and tell thing here. So like there's the, and then of course you have the sides, and then there's the back. And so like that was kind of the, it just had that one where, and I remember this one very well, where where April was mistaken for a princess there. But that was a really cool episode. And then the second one, this was in green. It's Invasion of the Turtle Snatchers. So again, it's in green, and nothing else is different. I mean, it's the same design, just different color, with a different picture on the front. That's another great episode. Holy smokes. It's like, just fantastic. And then they did Sky Turtles, which was, again, another fantastic episode. But, it's in yellow. So, again, not different at all. Just a different color. And then the last one was The Great Boldini. This one's one I'm not as familiar with, but I still remember it being very good. So there's that. Of course, like I said, there's nothing different to it. But I mean, those were so heavily in rotation for me. Like I said, I just know them like the back of my hand for the most part. And like I said, it was really interesting because I hadn't seen these VHSs whenever I got the DVD set. I hadn't seen them in a while, or really remembered them all that well. But it's like, man, as soon as those episodes came out, I was like, yep, I remember those. I remember how this goes. I remember this. I remember this. And so it was just like, it was so ingrained in me. I hadn't watched the show in like 20-something years by the time I'd actually, gotten that DVD set. So it was a lot of great fun. Now, flipping over to the movie side with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you would think, well, he talks about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1990 and Batman 1989. So obviously the next thing he's going to show us is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1990. about that. So, interestingly enough, I don't have a VHS of either the first Turtles movie or the second one. I have them, but they were taped, and I'm not sure whether we taped them off another VHS or they taped them off like HBO or something like that. I'm not sure. But I do not actually have an actual commercial copy of the first two movies. Now, the one I did watch that I did have taped for the 1990 film, it was watched a lot. It was watched a heck of a lot. But it just, it's a copy basically. So, and the same thing with Turtles 2, but I didn't tape it until like a few years later, and it was on like Fox or something like that, and I missed like the first 30 minutes of it anyway. Like I think it cuts in right as they're discovering the big frickin' dandelions at the TGRI site. So I thought that whatever. Like, so actually I didn't see it in full until I bought the Pizza Blu-ray box, the 25th anniversary Pizza box set. So that was like the first time that I had watched it in full, probably since we've rented. Now we did rent the VHS. I remember that at one point. We did rent that a couple times, and my cousin, whose name is also Chris, he took me to see, it in theaters. So I very vividly remember that as well. But the one that I do have, I say all that to kind of go down memory lane. I say all that to say this: the only VHS that I have of a live-action Ninja Turtles movie is 3. It's like, what? I feel really weird saying that, and part of me is like, is it weird if that I want to like go on eBay and find like a used copy of 1 and 2 just to like complete it, because like I just feel weird about it? Yeah, but then again, I kind of looked those up, and they're kind of expensive unless you get like a really tore up copy, which I guess, comparing to what I got here, who cares? But but I like this movie. I mean, it's definitely the weakest of the 3, and by a long shot. But I still think it's fun, and Charlotte really likes this movie too. And I remember, like, when I was a kid, I had, like, the backpack and got all the action figures from this. And I got, I had shirts. I mean, it was, like, I was all over this movie. So I'm not surprised that I grabbed the VHS. But, or my parents grabbed the VHS, I should say. Because in 1993 or 2 or whenever this came out, clearly I was not making money. So I didn't buy crap. But there you go. So there's that. Now, let's go to another big thing that I've always talked about a lot from my childhood, which is Godzilla, Big G. So, I had a lot of things taped. Like, I remember Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. That was a big one. Godzilla King of the Monsters, that was another one that I had taped. I'm trying to think. Godzilla 1985, which is different than The Return of Godzilla, which is the original Japanese, and then Godzilla 1985 is the American kind of shot some extra scenes to bring the Steve Martin character from Godzilla King of the Monsters back into it. That version is not really available anywhere. I think there may be bootleg copies, but they have only released the Return of Godzilla on that. So I know I had that somewhere. I remember that very vividly. But I do have 3 commercially released VHS Godzilla movies here, and we'll talk about it from least important to most important here. So for me, at least, like as far as what I look back on with my childhood. So the first one here I'm going to talk about is one that, if you watched my first one, if you watched my video with where I was talking about like Godzilla, guide for Godzilla newbies, I talked about I don't own the 1998 American Godzilla film, and I have no desire to, and I haven't watched it in a long time. I forgot that, I had the VHS. Completely. So, I guess I lied, although I didn't know I lied. But yes, I do own it on VHS, so technically I own it on physical media, so I guess Chris is a big fat liar. Whatever. I will say, I think I don't know if you can see it here, but the VHS is very textured to, like, for his skin there, so that's kind of cool. But nah, oh, so much money wasted there, and that was probably brand new too. So this next one, I think, and my memory may fail me here. I think this next one was the last VHS I bought before we bought a DVD player and started buying DVDs. That's where I think I'm at right now. And actually, I think it's a fairly rare buy. But Godzilla vs. Biolani. This is a really heavy film that's just absolutely wonderful and very beautiful, especially for a Godzilla kind of kaiju movie. So, yeah, I remember buying this, and I think I probably watched it once or twice. So, I mean, it's in really good shape. I mean, it's almost looks new, almost. But I mean, I think this is a great film. But I don't know if I really appreciated it when I bought this. I saw, hey, Godzilla movie, and I don't know if I fully appreciated this until much later. But I did buy it at one point. And now we're going to talk about the one I'm really excited to show you, because this is the one that, like, this is the movie that really grabbed hold of me and made me like a hardcore Godzilla fan. It made me want to check out everything else. And I love the art on this so much. King Kong versus Godzilla. The American version, of course, because I don't think we had access here in America to the Japanese version until the Criterion set came out. But, oh my gosh, I mean, this one's very similar to, like, Batman 1989 in that, like, it's been heavily worn. But yeah, I mean, this one, y'all, I've watched this so many times. This one may be a sleeper. This one could very well be up there with Batman 1989 and Turtles 90 as far as, like, number of watches. I mean, it just, like, the back of my hand, I know this one. And I really love this one. It's campy as all get out. It's silly. Kong looks horrible in it. Godzilla looks pretty good in it, actually. It's pretty terrifying, actually. But it's just got a charm to it. But and I did kind of take a snapshot of this and throw it out there on Instagram. So if you follow us there, this isn't really like a big shocker. But you know, like, of course, there's the back of it. It has a nice little synopsis there on the back, and man, it's just one. Jeez, it just feels good holding this, because I know, like, I just remember how much I watched this, and it's just. The other thing that I do remember, it's like one of these things, like, this benefited from the lower resolution, because I will say King Kong and Godzilla look better than they do, like, on the Blu-ray, because they can hide more, right? Because it's bad quality. But no, man, this one, jeez, like, just memories came flooding back on that. So we'll wrap up here. We'll talk about a couple of other things. A couple of these I think actually my parents had bought, but I really just love them so much that I kind of co-opted them. But we'll actually start here and we'll go into Disney. Now, I know, like, Michelle has a ton of Disney stuff that eventually she'll probably want to, or I think it would be cool if we did a video kind of showing that off as far as VHSs go. And this one, again, I didn't do well with packaging, but I did have the Jungle Book. Of course, the clamshell, the white clamshell, like I said, I kind of, it's a little worn, a little worse for wear, but I mean, this is one I loved as a kid. I remembered, like, having a couple others, but I'm not sure what. I think I remembered Robin Hood. I really liked that one growing up. Of course, we got the Blu-ray of that as well. I also know that I really like Beauty and the Beast as well. And I'm pretty sure I had that. I may have left that in the box, because I think Michelle had a better copy of it. I think that was it, yeah. She's got a better, less worn copy than I did. Michelle took a lot better care of her stuff as a kid than I did, but that's a great one. Now these two here, we'll just finish them up here, but of course, big John Wayne fan, me and my dad, that's really something that we bond over. And one of my favorites, and I think it's kind of an underappreciated John Wayne film, but it's Big Jake, and there's the VHS for that. Man, John Wayne's performance in this is just awesome. I don't care who you are. Very cool movie. And then, actually, ones that I completely forgot about, and I feel like just by the, I mean, I remember when it was released, it was like, what, late 90s? But these are also in really good shape. So these were like probably late buys before we switched over to DVD. But it's The Mummy and The Mummy Returns. And man, these are just fantastic movies. And actually some of my favorites. Brendan Fraser's awesome. What else can you say? Actually, we just watched this the other night. A couple nights ago, actually, in 4K. I mean, it looks beautiful in 4K. But it's just really cool to have those and look back on. So what I want to do is I want to display all of them. Just in a way, like maybe not all in one place, but maybe here and there. Maybe have some of the more like the Turtle TV based ones in here. Some of the more movie based stuff in the living room. We haven't really decided yet. But it's kind of like like I said, I'm never going to watch them again, but the idea of kind of like displaying things, these are the direct line to what made me fall in love with film and movies and that excitement. And also, it's really sparked my love of physical media and the joy of having these things where you own them, you have control over when you want to watch, at what times, and you don't have to worry about rights. You don't have to worry about, is this going to fall off on this streaming service? You don't have to worry about that because you own it. That's always stuck with me, and I think these things are the beginnings of the reason why I am such a huge physical media fan. And so I think it's very important to just kind of remember that and acknowledge that and be very grateful for that, because collecting physical media is really fun. And I think sometimes people turn it more not fun and really get very too detailed and too petty and too, I don't know. Yeah, they just go too far with it. But then again, isn't every collecting interest kind of do the same thing? There's always that group of people that just take it way too serious. The whole point of it is that you're having fun with it. And and that's the thing, like, some people are like, well, do you allow Charlotte to go near it? Of course we do. We have a shelf dedicated for her movies, like the bottom two shelves for her. And we want her to go through and pick those out. And yeah, she might ding a corner on something, or she might, not treat something perfect. And that's okay, because I think there's something with physical media where it really helps you fall in love with it, because it's something tactile, something you can touch, something that you can impart this sense of ownership with, and you bond with it more. And it's amazing, like, these things, I hadn't seen them until the last 2 weeks, since, probably the late 90s, maybe early 2000s, any of this stuff. But it's like all of this has stuck with me all through to this day. Like I said, I own every single thing on here in either Blu-ray or 4K except Godzilla 1998. Sorry, I got a little blah there. But it's just cool. And I don't care who you are. That sense of ownership has clearly really driven me through to today. So I thought, I hope that you had a good time kind of looking through this stuff and kind of let me meander through and talk about what these items mean to me. And it's one thing to be materialistic. It's another thing to use these things as kind of your gateway to pure enjoyment of something else. It's not having the thing in my hands and this is my thing. It's what the thing gives you. This thing gives me joy because it gives me entertainment. And it gave me many, 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 many hours of entertainment because of this show. So hopefully that's something that you take away if you're someone that's interested in. And I think I'm going to do more physical media stuff on this channel moving forward, and kind of my viewpoints on things. And and how that moves. But you know, if you're someone who's maybe not sure if they're going to get into physical media or not, get into it and have fun with it. Dip your toe in. Pick out your favorite movies. Don't go whole hog. Go with what you can afford and just have fun. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. As well, if you like what we're doing here at Dees Nerds, please subscribe to the channel. Click that bell icon so you know whenever we have new videos coming out. We're also on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, so if you're missing us in between videos, you can follow us there as well. And we also have merch, so we have our store down in the link down in the description. If you click there, anything you buy there just supports the channel. So guys, hey, I appreciate everything. Sorry if I maybe meandered a bit around here. It's late. You know, I didn't really have a chance this week. I really wanted this to be the next video because I really wanted to get my thoughts down on this. Like I said, it's late. This is about the time I had to really do it. Otherwise, we're talking about filming it next week, and I just wanted to get it out for you guys. So, guys, until next time, I'm Chris. This is Dees Nerds. You guys have a great, safe rest of the day. Bye.